Hello students, welcome to my session. And today we are doing Ambai's short story, A Kitchen in the Corner of the House. This is actually the second session, and I've already given you an introduction of the writer as well as the story. And today we will analyze the story. As we have read the story, we feel this story is a very episodic one. That is, it does not have a firm or fixed structure with its beginnings or middle or the conclusion like normally you have the stories. It is very episodic and different kinds of episodes are given in the story. And this is set in the traditional Rajasthani household. That is the locale or the location of the story is Ajmer. So when we first read the story, it creates an impression that this is the tale of a family, and the family who loves food, and there is gentle humor and affection and concern for the members. But if you look deeply into the story, it is a critique of patriarchal system in the society. And each of the episode, that is, as I said, it is very episodic. So each of the episode is structured, and the ways in which the balance of power sways between man and woman, and also women, senior women, and their junior women, or you can say the mother-in-law or daughter-in-law. So these kind of relations and the power play is discussed, or you can say it is portrayed in this story. The kitchen, as the title says, the kitchen in the corner of the house. This kitchen it becomes an icon of rigid traditions in the Indian society. And the position of the kitchen also describes the position of women in the household. So this story, it is an outstanding story, and it concentrates on the experiences of women, and it highlights diverse themes such as liberation of women, then that women want to feel free, and also position of women in the past and the present. Now there are women of 2 or 3 generations in this story, and the position of women in the past, which is portrayed through Gigi and her mother-in-law, and the present is presented in the form of Meenakshi, who is a modern girl, and she is an outsider. That is, this story is based in Ajmer, and she is from south, she's from Mysore. So she has the outsider's view, and it just shows the peep into the condition of women. Then there are symbols of freedom and renaza of women. Symbols of freedom in which what women feel. The symbols of freedom for Meenakshi is like a view, a mountain view of greenery from the window of the kitchen. This also symbolizes freedom. So this title, if you look at the title, A Kitchen in the Corner of the House. So the life of the women, there are a number of women who are involved in this story, and their life revolves around the kitchen. And these women are actually the representatives of the entire women population, especially in India, who spend large part of their day within the confinement of kitchen. And this confinement is often undertaken willingly. Why willingly? Because women are, right from the beginning, they are fed with the idea that the nurturing of the family is considered to be the chief duty of a woman in our society. So, Ambai narrates this story from the perspective of Meenakshi. And Meenakshi is the youngest daughter-in-law of the house. No, she's not the youngest one. There's one more, sister-in-law who is younger to her, Kusuma. So, but she is from the outside the cultural background of Ajmer. So, and actually, it seems that probably her marriage to Kishan is it's a romantic love marriage, which Papaji is not very comfortable with. And this story opens with a vivid description of kitchen in the house. Now, if we looked at the description of the kitchen, it says, right at the end, the kitchen stuck on in a careless manner. 2 windows, underneath one, the tap and basin. That is, this line is very important, that the kitchen stuck on in the careless manner. कि रसोई एक बहुत important जगह नहीं है, very planned, it's not very planned, और उसको सिर्फ ऐसे जैसे कि कहीं ऐसे लटका दिया हो in a careless manner, because not detailed architecture went into the construction of kitchen. There were 2 windows, and underneath one there was a tap and a basin. And the basin was so small to place even a single plate in it. Like wash basin. Wash basin is a place where all these utensils are collected and washed. So for that you need to have a deep and big basin so the water does not spill off. But in this kitchen, underneath that, the drainage area without any ledge होता है जो आगे जो कुछ रोकने के लिए जो वो डोली टाइप बनती है, that is a ledge. So we see that this kitchen is very inconvenient, and the basin is the place where the utensils are cleaned. It is so small that even you can't even place a small plate in it. So, and as soon as the taps above are opened, the feet standing beneath would begin to tingle. So as soon as you open the tap, the water will splash onto the feet, and within 10 minutes there would be a small flood underfoot. And when there is water, when you open the tap, the water starts flooding and your feet get soaked in it. Soles and heels would start cracking from that constant wetness, that whenever women used to work in the kitchen, their feet are always wet, and then this constant touch with the water, the feet, especially the heels, they start cracking. And Kishan's mother is Gigi, who is the mother-in-law, called Gigi by everyone, would present a soothing ointment for chapped heels on the very first day one entered the kitchen, cooked a meal, and was given the traditional gold bangle. Now this gold bangle, it actually symbolizes the femaleness of women, that they are bound in the kitchen, or in a way you can say it is a very beautiful bondage for them, that when they cook for the first time, जैसे अपने यहाँ होता है जब नई बहू आती है तो she is introduced to the kitchen, she is initiated in the kitchen, and she cooks something sweet normally, and then the elder people, they give her some gift. So normally in these Rajput families, a golden bangle is given to the newly wed, the bride. So it is a kind of an encouragement for her to start doing her duties well. So in the first time she is initiated, and she is bound with the gold, this golden bangle. Now the description of the kitchen shows that how inconvenient this place is. And this also shows a rigid tradition, and also that how uncomfortable uh, working in the kitchen is for the women. And the most important part, or you can say part which strikes us, is that nobody seems to object to it. Nobody seems to say that we need some sort of reformation or we need some restructuring of the kitchen and we don't want to work. They are ready to work in these kind of situations and circumstances, and nobody seems to object. So, this location of the kitchen itself shows the importance of women, and it also shows the confinement of women in the kitchen. So, Ambai narrates this story. At the end, this kitchen is stuck in the careless manner, and kitchen is an important segment of the house, which is the source of health and well-being of the people of this house. And as we know in the story, that the people in the house, they are very fond of eating. And here it says that the people, that is lineage, had a reputation for its love of food and drink, and they were the people who enjoyed the pleasures and experiences of life. And mostly, who were these people who enjoyed these pleasures and experiences? They were mainly the male members of the family. So it says that while keen attention was given to the construction of the other segments of the house, the kitchen remains neglected. And this negligence signifies the status of women in that house. Like women, they were always busy in the kitchen whole day, from morning till evening, making tea, making breakfast, then lunch, then again the evening snacks and the dinner. And they also catered to the guests who appeared or who came at the odd times of the day. So now most of the time they used to work in the darkness of the room. They were slapping and kneading the chapati dough or stirring the fragrant spicy dal. Now, in the story, Ambai also observes that this style of life indeed encompasses the kitchen and was woven around the concept of the kitchen. The whole life is woven around the concept of the kitchen. Their anxieties and desires are connected with the fireplace of the house. It is the place where they used to spend the biggest part of the day, and the little space called kitchen has seen their dreams, their hopes, their miseries, and the compromises for survival. And in this story, Kishan's mother suffers a heart failure. Even at the verge of the collapse, the first thought which strikes through her mind is the state of the kitchen after her death, that who's going to rule the kitchen. Now, actually, this is you can say, a tug of war for power, the kitchen. Who will control the kitchen? It is actually the strongest, or you can say the powerful one, who rules the kitchen. She asks others to control over the kitchen, and she even remembers the time when she single-handedly made food for the entire house. It shows how deeply they are connected with the space and the idea of the kitchen and cooking. And throughout the story, men enjoy a position of importance, and on the other hand, women are treated as second-class citizens with limited rights. So, while men are relaxing after day's labor, women are normally forced to retreat into the kitchen, and then they had to work inside the kitchen even after the job outside of the house. If the woman was working outside, even then she had to look after the kitchen. and men do not offer any help. And then, if we see who creates this distinction, now actually women themselves, they are also responsible for creating uh, this space or this concept that women are the only ones who have to look after the kitchen and they have to cater to the needs of men. It is women, they feel that they exist only in the ways that men have shaped them. कि औरतें सिर्फ अपने आप को मेल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखती हैं कि हाउ द मेल लुक्स एट देम एंड व्हाट द मेल wants them to do and how they want them to cook and to look after the kitchen. So it is actually this endless repetition of the work of the house, like from clean becomes dirty and the dirty they have to clean it again and then they have to cook. This work is very repetitive means roz wahi kaam. Get up in the morning, make tea, make breakfast, make lunch, dinner, then again the same thing. So it actually creates the monotony, and nobody is bothered about this monotony. Nobody feels that women also need some kind of entertainment or desire, or you can say the freedom. In this story, that when the construction work is going on, Meenakshi actually makes a request. She raises the subject, and when Papaji is building a room over the garage, so she says, Papaji, why don't you extend the veranda outside the kitchen? If you widen it, we could have some chairs out there. If you then build a wash place to the left, you could have a really wide basin for cleaning the vessels, and then beyond that, you could put up some aluminum wires for drying out the clothes. So Papaji was very shocked. He was scandalized to hear a daughter-in-law who is expressing herself and who is giving her own opinion. And this sort of thing was not the norm of this family, that women were not allowed to give their opinions. Nobody wanted their opinions, and they were not even allowed to give their opinions. So Papaji actually was taken aback because daughters-in-law had not thus far offered their own opinions in that house. And it is actually Meenakshi who is proposing the opinion, and she's actually, in a way, she's requesting. But what happens? She actually she gives her opinion about the discomfort of the kitchen. Until now, nobody had pointed this out to anyone, that the kitchen is a very uncomfortable place and they need some sort of restructuring. And Meenakshi's husband is Kishan, and he's also an architect, and he endorses this view. But Papaji does not like it. And Papaji does not even listen to that request, and Meenakshi's request fails to have any effect on Papaji. So if you see, this story also projects the male psyche, कि आदमियों की ईगो, आदमियों का सोचने का ढंग कैसा होता है, the repressive male psyche. So if I read this paragraph, this actually shows the bitterness which Papaji has against Meenakshi. The new room was completed. I'm reading on page number 180 of this book. The new room was completed and the state of the kitchen remained unchanged. And 2 more nylon lines were added for drying clothes outside the window. This was Papaji's silent retort. That is, Papaji did not say anything, but he did not even do anything to improve the condition of the kitchen or to make the kitchen more comfortable for women to work in. And this shows a bitterness. He says, women of Mysore. His anger is against Meenakshi. You have not lived here for many generations. Why do you need mountains? Because Meenakshi had suggested that if they could have, there were green mountains outside the window, and if you had the view, you could actually feel happy or relaxed to see these sort of scenes. And he says that if one looked up turning the pieces of meat which had been sprinkled with coriander, chili powder, and garam masala, that one who encountered might well be instead of looking at the green mountains, because there was one rod which was stretched to spread the clothes. So instead of looking at the mountains or viewing the mountains, they encountered a pair of pajamas or all the clothes or petticoats or anything which were hanging there. So he says, and Papaji does not like Meenakshi's interference. So, and he feels bitterness. So he says, he thinks that why do you need its greenness? Why do you need mountains? What possible connection is there between Rajasthani food customs and the window and the washing up basin? Now, actually, men, just because they do not do any work, they cannot understand the discomfort and the inconvenience which this condition of kitchen has. So he's saying, what is the connection between this? Like, they cannot imagine that women are also human beings and they also need some sort of joy, some sort of spiritual or natural. They also need natural beauty. What is a possible connection between Rajasthani food and customs and the window and the washing area? Dark-skinned woman, you who refuse to cover your head, you who talk too much, you who have enticed my son. Now Papaji is actually, he has this angst and resentment for her. And he nurses a grievance against her, first of all, for talking too much. Then secondly, she's dark, she's a South Indian, and she's dark-skinned, so he does not approve of that. And then she refuses to cover her head. Like Rajasthan, especially the Rajput families, women always cover their head, and she refuses to cover the head. And then who have enticed my son? कि मेरे बेटे को जैसे फंसा लिया है उसने. So this shows that this marriage is not according to Papaji's wishes. Maybe this is a love marriage, and Papaji does not approve of it. So today we'll do only this much, and in my next session I'll take up the other aspects of the story. Thank you for your patient listening, and goodbye.